Dealing with the guilt of the fact that you may also be an abuser yourself. When you get abused, it's like having your validity, having your identity shut off or turned down, compromised, pushed around. That energy gets stored up, and particularly in the opportunity to become intimate with somebody, this type of thing can come out, and you can find yourself in the position of being the cruel one, being the abuser. And when you're recovering from abuse and you look back and you say, oh my God, I was the abuser in that moment. I did something that was cruel to someone who loved me, just for the sake of breaking them down, just for the sake of hurting them, to make myself feel better, because I'd been so hurt and invalidated. In that moment, perhaps I felt the need to redeem myself by imitating my abuser. So this guilt on the road to recovering from abuse can sometimes come up, and it's like, okay, what do I do? Do I try to think about how to redeem that? Do I try to go to that person and apologize? Of course you can do all those things, but the biggest thing is don't stay in the past. Don't stay in the time relationship, regretting the past, because that's part of the addictive cycle. Always stay in the future, stay in the present, and think about the future. You can learn from those lessons, and maybe there are a few people that you need to call up and apologize to, if you get the chance, if you can find them, and if they want to talk to you, right? But for the most part, don't beat yourself up, and don't let yourself be in past time thinking, because that will trigger the addictions, that will trigger the guilt, that will trigger the whole abusive cycle, the whole cycle of the false self once again. So stay in the moment, think about what you can do in the moment, think about what you might be able to do in the future, and be kind to yourself and compassionate, and realize that the things that you did were done as a reaction to the hurt that you may have felt. And they're not excusable, but maybe you can understand them, and maybe you can avoid them. You can avoid that and become somebody who is truly able to meet the other on the level playing field, and on the level of compassion and respecting the other, giving them dignity in the future. It's always better to be compassionate to yourself and not beat yourself up, be on your own side. It just doesn't do any good to beat yourself up. No matter what you did, it's not going to be worse than what the narc did. So I mean, let yourself off the hook and just try to learn from those mistakes and try to be a different person now, going forward. Try to look and see how I can refine my character. How can I remove these elements of cruelty? How can I turn my mind towards justice and away from injustice? And think along those lines. And always love yourself. Always, always, always love yourself unconditionally. And you'll be well on your way to recovery.